Brian's eyes shot open. He could not tell if the sound of the ricochet had occurred inside his dream or not. He lay there, silent, straining to hear. For a long moment there was the lap of the canal water gently rocking the boat, and that was all. Tack! This was not a sound inside his head. Something hard had struck one of the glass portholes squarely. Brian sat up. The fog of sleep diminished, but did not entirely, making him feel half drunk. He stood and steadied himself. He held his saber ready and moved to the porthole on the mule path side, peeking out into the night. Tack! A stone cracked into the glass, inches from his face. He heard muffled laughter coming from the dark. Whatever was out there knew he was inside. He was being toyed with like some dumb, broken-backed bird being teased toward death by a fat and nasty feline. Brian scanned the night for the source, but he could not see beyond the mule path into the white-covered alleys and alcoves amongst the buildings beyond it. He saw his horse, standing calmly at the other end of the gangplank. His best play was to try to get to her and mount up, then make a run for it. The bridge was not far, and if he could reach it and cross, there was plenty of space beyond it to lose pursuers. Brian sheathed his saber and eased his way up the steps to the cabin door. He opened it slowly. Snow and cold air gusted in. He stepped out onto the deck, reaching for his lance, while he watched the darkness for movement. But there was nothing there. Nothing in the shadows. And no lance leaning against the wheelhouse. Cold fear bit hard. He started toward his horse. He saw movement coming down the sloped alley toward the canal. Brian bolted. He felt the gangplank bouncing under him. He leapt for the saddle horn and swung his right leg up and over, slinging himself into the seat. He reached down to yank the reins free. His lance struck him under the ribs and speared up into his lungs. Brian slumped to the side and screamed in pain. His feet searched for stirrups they could not find. Then the spear was twisted and yanked, pulling him from the saddle. He hit the pavement. He looked up. He saw the whites of the dead man's eyes, framed by red and black skin that had been burned to a deep crisp. He heard dogs barking and coming at a run toward them. He saw the man's face light up in a smile. Then the lance was pulled free, and the pain sent Brian Hugh tumbling into a dark well of unconsciousness as his brain tried to protect him from the horrors it knew were coming. Little boy Halstead stood over his victim. He leaned against the bloody 9-foot bamboo lance he had stolen from Brian Hugh and watched the 3 German shepherds slow their approach, teeth snarling, sniffing at the fresh, bloody scent that was swirling around in the snowy air. When he saw the 4 men thundering out of the night behind the dogs, little boy Halstead nodded a greeting. "Well, shoot," said Daddy Cox. "Looks like we got beat to the punch on this one." Harlan, Sheriff Coombs, and Big Don McMaster joined Daddy Cox. The line of dogs stood between them and Halstead, still growling, uncertain. Little boy Halstead extended his hand to the dogs. The German shepherds slowly advanced, sniffing his burnt flesh. Halstead's corpse reeked of war. He let them take in the scent. Gunpowder and iron-rich blood. Stale, terror-stoked adrenaline, gasoline, and burnt flesh. Satisfied, the German shepherds let him stroke their soft ears. "You speak English?" asked Daddy Cox. "I speak all," Your languages, said little boy Halstead. Every last one. Daddy Cox grinned. Well, all right then. He thrust his chin toward Brian Hughes' slumped body. That one's still alive? Little boy Halstead nodded. Yes. We've been throwing a little hanging party up the way a bit. Wonder if we might take this one off your hands, unless, of course, you had plans for him. We've been doing some decorating. We need one more fellow to balance it all out. Wouldn't ask, but we seem to have found all the folks in the area who's still living and breathing. And the pickings in this town have gotten pretty slim. The little boy nodded. Surely. Take him. But have no fear. The others are coming. The pickings in this town will not be slim for long. And so, Daddy Cox, Harlan, Big Don, and Sheriff Coombs bound Brian Hughes' hands behind his back and hefted him. Little boy Halstead and the German shepherds followed them through the streets of San Quentin. When they reached the city centre and its grand cathedral, Big Don slapped Brian Hughes back to wakefulness. They wrapped a telephone wire noose around his neck. Then they strung him up, popping and jerking, gasping and choking, until Brian finally blacked out and came to permanent rest.